YouTube video. Hey guys, we're gonna explain, I guess, what we're gonna talk about. Since I have since I have, for those of you who are new to me and new to Melanin Mode, I've been blogging. I've been blogging on Melanin Mode since 2013. So it's seen my very vulnerable times, my ups, my downs. I actually met Huey the same month that I started the blog. He kind of like pushed me to do it. And I was very candid about our relationship on it, to the point that I have like one of my most read posts is "Ode to an Asshole," where during one of our breakups I kind of just bashed him on it, but it's also a really empowering post. So people have always asked me and us, since we're like always ourselves and goofing around on camera, and I'm an advocate for self-love, what brought me to talk about the things that I talk about, where we came from as a couple, how we met, knowing what you guys know about our relationship, how we got to this point. Sorry that it's like noisy. We're like in the car on the way to Long Island from Jersey, so we're gonna be here probably for an hour. And what compromises we had to make, growth within ourselves and growth as a couple, growth as best friends, because we were friends first, which is really important, and we'll touch on that. And hopefully he gets as vulnerable as I do, because I have no problem with that. So yeah, so hey Edlin. Say hi, bro.
How's my hair look? Looks good?
You just got a haircut. You know when guys get haircuts, they don't know how to act. So yeah, feel free to ask questions or like chime in. But I feel like it's something that's really important to talk about, especially as a couple of color. We are by no means professionals, and we don't have a recipe for success in marriage and relationships at all. But I think it's important that we share our story, and maybe it inspires you guys to either work on your relationships or let go of relationships that no longer serve you. Joel said you're okay. So where do we start? I'm gonna turn this off because I can't focus. Okay, this is a little bit scary. So where do we start? You want to say something about yourself before you met me?
Like what?
I don't know. Whatever pertains to you meeting me and who you were as a person.
I've always been I think, in my own opinion.
How old were you, first of all? When we met, it was an accident on the road. When we met, I was 24. 24, yeah.
I was 27 when I met you.
Yes, I actually went to his 27th birthday party. Can you guys hear me? If you guys can hear me, can you do the like little heart thing? I don't even know if you can do that anymore on this thing. This is like mad advanced. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was 27 years old, and just like any 20-something-year-old, kind of like don't really have a solid, strict roadmap to how to do things. So, needless to say, I was quite irresponsible, even in my my late 20s. I mean, I was doing my thing with my career, and my finances were on point and stuff like that, but be too conscious of how my energy affected others. Like, people always talk about it, but like, especially in like romantic relationships, energy plays a big role. And when I met Melanie, I wasn't necessarily ready to I wasn't in a place where I could give her that energy healthily. Although that wasn't conscious in my mind at the time. So I would love her, but I would like love her like causing her harm and causing myself harm emotionally. And not her fault. Not I mean, it's not in terms of a blame game. I'm not gonna it's just young kid shit. So that's where I was. And where were you?
Hold on. I was 24 years old. Working I graduated college, 21, 22. Working, I had goals, but wasn't necessarily where I wanted to be in life. I wasn't necessarily looking for a partner. I had just gotten out of a long relationship, and I was just dating. Huey and I just gotten out of so I got out of a long relationship, and then I kind of, which is not healthy, had a few short relationships that were not healthy at all. And I was in a pattern of like painful relationships. I felt like I would date the same person over and over and over, and then I met him. And for so long, if you guys probably get this, when you date the same person over and over and over, you're just like, fuck, like, what did I do to deserve this? Like, why do I keep meeting the same person? And you forget to take a look at yourself, and you forget to hold yourself accountable, and like, shit, I'm the common denominator here. I didn't get that. I don't know if it was a maturity thing or not, but I hadn't learned my lesson yet. So we met. We have a bunch of mutual friends. We met on Twitter. He tweeted me. Actually,
I was like, yeah.
He. I think I followed him first, actually, because his tweets were interesting. He's very witty, and that's something that's like super sexy to me. So I think I followed him first just because his tweets were funny. And then he ended up DMing me and inviting me to his birthday party at Apartment 78.
It went down in DMs.
Yeah. I think we had met in person a couple of months before that in the summertime during the Apartment 78 block party. You guys went to that. And he said hi, and I said hi, but we didn't take it anywhere until a couple of months later. So I went to the birthday party, and I swear to God, the day that I saw him there, I was just like, I'm gonna marry him. And not even in a psycho way. I have like this like bruja sixth sense, and I just said it after like being, thanks to liquid courage. But here we are. Anyways, I don't know if I knew what I was saying then, but I guess I knew what I was saying then. Yes, you guys are so New York. Yes, we met in Apartment 78, and we had pizza at Apartment 78 the day that I went into labor. Bodega pizza. Anyways, so we met, and we were kind of inseparable from then on. We went on our first date the month after that, and it's funny because we had dinner that night, and I was like, we can't date. Way too many people that I dated, and not to say like, oh, nah, you're gonna know my dirt, because I didn't really have anything to hide, but I just didn't want to stay in the same circle, you feel me? So he was crushed that I was like throwing him, friend zoning him, and then we ended up dating anyway. And then what? Then things started to go south. Maybe like 2 months after that. So to make a really long story short, because our journey is 3 years long, we were in a very difficult. We're gonna make 4 years in November. We were in a very difficult cycle. We both we lacked self-love. Yeah. I think that was the underlying problem. And we would put ourselves in dangerous situations and hurt ourselves. I'll be candid about mine. I had like a little bit of a drinking problem. And that's how I coped with my depression and with my anxiety, and everything spiraled out of control for me. He was jumping in and out of relationships with me, in and out of relationships with another person. And we were both just confused about ourselves. You want to add to that?
Yeah, I was just like, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, 1 foot in kind of thing. Not really taking relationships seriously, although I did. It wasn't like, oh, let me be on some player shit. Like, it was never that. It was more of ¿cómo se dice? Looking for the same thing in two separate places, and obviously that's a bad idea. And I didn't realize who I had in front of me until, it took a while. It took a while for me to realize. Actually, I don't think it took a while for me to realize. I think I realized immediately, and I just didn't allow myself to make the necessary steps to move forward. And it was super toxic. It was like, you know, and it was out in the open. It was damaging. I know a lot of people that go through it, but you know, it sucks. It was just a shitty situation, and but luckily we're here. We made it past all of that.
Yeah. So how did that happen? Let me rack my brain. Yeah, a lot of bad shit happened. Personally, for me, I kept going back, and he kept going back, and whatever, back and forth. My issue was that I was looking for the love. I was looking for love in him and attention in him that I didn't give myself. So I had a lot of complexes. I hated myself in many ways. Not that I like thought I was ugly or whatever. It's deeper than that. At one point, I just like gave up on life. I've never tried to commit suicide, but it was definitely on my mind. And there was like a whole like month of my life where I didn't go to work. My mom had to bathe me, feed me, and I ended up losing that job. It was just really bad. I was just making really bad decisions, and then I would blame it on you know, the love that he wasn't showing me, the love that I should have been showing myself, along with mental illness and everything. And it was a bad situation. How did we get out of that? There was many times that I realized what was going on, and I realized that what was going on was stupid, so I broke it off. I would break up with him and let him do his thing, and I will say this, I never once forced him to be with me. I never once forced the relationship, and neither did he. We never forced anything. It would organically happen, it would organically break up. But it took like that one final breakup that I was like, yo, I'm tired. I am done. I am 26 years old. I am not doing this anymore. You have a problem and I have a problem, and we need to separate in order to fix it, because there's no way that we're going to fix a unit without the individual parts being healthy. Yes.
That was her thought in her mind. She didn't share that with me. She was just like, yo, I'm done with you, bro. Like, peace. And, you know, and so like, some time passed, and I was like, yo, I can't, like, I'm about to lose the love of my life. Like, I can't. What do I have to change? Like, what's the next thing that I have to do? How am I getting in the way of myself? So it took some time, and then I'm like, yo, I can't lose her. So I just did what I had to do. And in that time alone, like, you realize what's important. You realize who you are. Like, you're forced to talk to yourself. You're forced to understand yourself. You know, and when you understand yourself, when you know yourself, is when you love yourself. It's not easy though. It's a journey, especially like I was doing dumb shit, so I had to like cope with all of that, you know, and like just things from before, like a past life, pretty much. Like, you have to like face all of those demons before you can you know, before you can get to the point where you love yourself and you accept yourself. So we went through some time, and then it was one day, I forgot when it was, in like August or July. I hit you up to go to the beach.
Oh, so we broke up, and I went through a whole, like, this was like the changing point of my life, and I'm not going to tell you guys too much, because this month, as you know, we're doing this full I Love Myself Inside and Out campaign, and I'm releasing a video on my full spiritual journey at the end of February. So I'm not going to tell you guys too much, but it was that breakup, that emancipation from like darkness, and just like, he was very dark, I was very dark, and together it was just like terrible. So it was that like breakup, that emancipation that like woke me up. I started reading. That's when I picked up A Return to Love, which is I recommend to all of you guys all the time, by Marianne Williamson. How to Change Your Life also changed my life. I started meditating regularly.
Yo, pick up. Thank you.
What? Oh, road rage. I started meditating regularly. I really started using my crystals, which I always had, but I never really used. I went to church. I just was doing things for me finally, and I had done things for him for so long. Like, it was so refreshing to like take a look at myself and fix the things that I needed to fix in order for me to even think about being in a relationship with anyone. Because to be honest, at some point I was like, yo, he's never gonna fix himself. And I hate using that word fix, because it's not something that's broken within you. You just need to hold yourself accountable for the shit that's going on with you. I was like, he's not gonna be there. I was like, he's been in a bad pattern for so long. I was like, I'm very quick, so I sometimes have a problem acknowledging things, but when I've reached my limit, I've reached my limit. Like, and I'm gonna do things. So I did it. So that's how I learned my lessons. I literally kept a notepad and I wrote down, and I still have it. I have them in my notes app in my phone. Thank you guys. They're like saying, I love this talk, I love this talk, I love this conversation. If you guys have any questions, chime in also. I literally have in my notes app one of the notes that says it's self-realizations, things that I realized about myself, good and bad. And just taking a note of all those things has helped me so much. I have years and years and years worth of things, and I don't erase them. Even when I've learned my lesson, I keep them there, just so whenever I'm having a bad day, or whenever I'm like feel confused about myself and I need to ground myself, I go back to it. Yeah, that's what I did. I know that he like this is also a difference between the both of us. The way that we like healed ourselves. I was out in the world. I would go out with my friends. I was at work and I would do things and whatever. He like closed himself in and like healed in his home. There's no right or wrong way of healing. And I see a lot of like memes and like self-love and spiritual posts that says, you know, reclusion is like the way to heal. That's not true.
No, that's not true.
That's not true. You don't need to. It's a way. If you feel like you need to lock yourself in a house and read a book
and binge watch Game of Thrones
like he did, then that's how you heal. But that's not how I heal. I heal by talking to people. I heal by having fun. I heal by exchanging energy. It's literally the only way that I heal, which is why my blog and why my website, why my brand exists to begin with. That's my divine calling. He healed by himself. He healed at home. Eventually, he did hit me up.
I was like, yeah.
And I didn't even think twice. I picked up the phone so fast.
You know when you call, I was calling. I'm like, she's gonna let this shit ring, and then it's gonna go to voicemail, and then I'm gonna have to leave I have my one chance, leave a solid voicemail, and I don't even think it rang. She's like, hello, and I'm like,
and he was just like shook. But I picked up so fast. Anger didn't even cross my mind. A big part of my healing, and I think is the most important part, and I talk about this all the time, and I talked about this in my full moon ritual, which I also did. I did a lot of full moon and new moon rituals throughout my healing process, and that's the time that I started to get really regular with it. I forgave him, and I didn't need to have him in front of me to forgive him. I still had questions, and I was still like upset that it happened, it being the entire, like all 3 years bundled up, and the upsets and the ups and downs and just like the confusion. But I forgave him because I know that he wasn't doing it on purpose. I know that there was something broken in each of us. But forgiveness is so important, and it's not for the other person, it's for yourself. When you forgive, you're literally releasing yourself from that problem, and that problem stays there. So that was like the most major part for me, which is why I was able to pick up the phone right away and like shake him in his boots. So I picked up and we spoke briefly. I could feel the energy on the phone on his part was very heavy. I was, like I told you, actively like meditating and doing all these things to like lighten my load and heal. Somebody in the conversation asked, how do you find ways to heal when you feel so lost? Pray. And even if you don't have a relationship with God, and God being whoever you want God to be, pray. Just say things out loud, talk, ask questions. The answers will come to you, I promise you. I promise you. And again, I'm not going to say too much because it's part of my video, my spiritual healing video, but just pray about it. Whatever you're called to do, just do it. Just do it. There's times that I like took baths with white rose petals and honey in it because I knew that would sweeten my life. Like, it may make no sense when you do them, but it may feel good to you.
Also, spend time in nature.
Yes.
Just like go for a walk. Go to the nearest park, have a seat, put your phone away, pick up a book or play some music that you like to listen to. Just be in nature or just be out. What I did a lot was I would just like, when I was living out on Long Island, I'd jump on the train, go to the city, hit nobody up, and just walk around the whole day and just, take photos on my phone and go get lost. And have the time to like kind of empty your mind, like just walk around with no purpose, no aim, and just kind of like empty your mind, and then you feel, you get the answers, and you feel a little bit better, and your intuition grows in strength, and then you kind of know where to go from there.
Right. For those of you who think you can't meditate, I say meditate very loosely because I don't meditate the way that you think. I literally cannot sit there and just be still and think of nothing. But it's really important to do nothing sometimes. There's a saying in Italian. I do speak Italian, guys. It's a fun fact. There's a saying in Italian, dolce far niente, which means the joy of doing nothing. And it's so important to just like sit there and just like empty yourself so that you can be filled with the answers that are necessary. So that's a way to find ways to heal. If you still have no idea how, girl, guys, get on YouTube, read books. Like, there's so many avenues, and we live in 2018. Like, we live in the future. There are so many resources out there. Most important part of healing for me was therapy. Most important part of healing for him was therapy, and I was gonna get to that later, but we might as well jump into that now. So I pick up the phone. We agreed to meet up. We met up on the beach. This is the summer time.
I picked you up.
I was like, all right, if you're gonna take me to the beach, you're gonna take me to the beach. You're gonna drive from Long Island all the way to Jersey. You're gonna pick my ass up, and we're gonna go. So he did that. We go to the beach, and I was not prepared for this, but he wrote me, like a 10-page letter explaining
I'm sending you the phone.
like a 10-page letter explaining every single detail of what was going on in his mind through our entire relationship. And I wasn't ready for that. And we just released on the beach, and it was the best thing ever. I'm not sure if I would look it up actually, but I'm not sure if it was a full moon because the release was so strong. We literally felt lighter afterwards. That's not to say that we were good from then on and that's it, we ended up getting married. Like, nah, that's not how it happened. But that was an important conversation to have. We had to let go of a lot of pain. Not that day, but that day it started. I gave him what was going on in my mind. How we updated each other on how we've been healing on our own. And we didn't make any promises to each other. We were not ready to be in a relationship yet. There's no real way to gauge that. We definitely took a risk getting back together, which didn't happen for another few months. Wow. It's like raining.
Déjalo que entre, Paloma.
People are driving crazy.
Déjalo que entre.
We didn't get back together for a couple of months, and it wasn't until we took a trip. We went to Brunch Bounce DR, and we went to Punta Cana, where we were like away from society and away from the norm, and just like out of the country, unplugged. Where look, 222. Ha! Messages, y'all, messages. There's a 222 right in front of us, which means like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do right now. Thanks God. It wasn't until we unplugged and we were like away from everyone that we were able to have like real conversations, like bathtub conversations. We actually had a really awesome suite in DR.
Yo, shout out real quick. Shout out to everybody who coordinated that Brunch Mouse trip. That was fantastic. Like, we had the whole half of the resort to ourselves. We had an open bar on the back of the resort.
Word.
The part of the rooms were like half of them in a pool. Like, that shit was mad cool. Yo. Shout out to y'all.
So yeah, so we had like a gorgeous suite with like you could like 10 people fit in the shower. So we would like literally sit in the shower. This is mad TMI, but whatever. We would like sit in the shower, so we were pruning and just like talk about life. and talk about everything and like ask each other questions. And I remember us speaking about like, would we get married? Would we have children? You know, what we wanted in our future, and that started to plant the seed for what we had today. And that was just like important as well. Like the bad conversations are necessary, but the good conversations are necessary also. Yes, hi God. So yeah, I guess to put it really short, that's our story. Do you want to add anything to that? Do you guys have any questions? Of course, there's a lot more details. Some that are important, some that aren't. So therapy. So I did therapy throughout our relationship. At some point, I did therapy strong. At some point, I did therapy consistently. I was actually going a lot. I was going 3 times a week for a couple of months. I went to therapy consistently for about a year. I went from like 3 times a week to 2 times a week to once a week once I started to get better. Then I started to go once every 2 weeks, then once a month, until like I stopped going. It gave me the tools that I needed to deal with anxiety, which I deal with every day, even today. Depression for me was more situational. So I'll explain that. Depression is a chemical imbalance. You always have it. Some people take pills for them, some people don't. But mine was more like activated, as my therapist said, by situations. And of course, the situations that I was having in my relationship weren't healthy. So I was kind of like putting myself in dangerous territory. My anxiety, on the other hand, I suffer from generalized anxiety disorder, GAD. I do suffer from panic attacks at times. It's not an everyday thing, but just the constant anxiety is an everyday thing for me. When it gets really bad, I do have panic attacks. My nervous system kind of like shuts down. I pass out. Sometimes I can't see. And it was just really unhealthy at some point in my life, and it still happens. And I've made the choice not to take pills for it. And that's just my choice. I deal with it in other ways that I'm not going to share here because I want you guys to watch my video. But therapy and learning ways, therapy gave me the tools to cope. Therapy gave me the tools to emotionally heal. Therapy allowed me to talk to somebody that wasn't gonna respond with bias. Like, you're literally paying someone to listen to you. And it may sound silly, but it's so important to just unload. I carried so much with me, and there were people that I spoke to about my relationship problems and like my personal stuff. Again, I wasn't only going to therapy for, you know, to complain about my ex, but just to talk about what was going on in my head, in my heart, you know, how I felt physically, what was going on in my job, and what was causing my anxiety, what was causing my depression. I went even on my good days. It's just so important to have somebody to talk to. It's super important when you think you're going through mental illness. These people are trained professionals, but I also think it's really important to go to therapy because you're talking to somebody who's not going to have a bias. If you tell, you know, your mom your problems or your best friend it's awesome to have those relationships, but there is a chance that they're going to respond to you with, you know, your best interest in hand and not the other person's. Like, when you go to therapy, they weigh both. You know what I'm saying? If there's something that I'm doing wrong, my therapist will call me out on it and say, well, maybe this is hurting him. Therapy allowed me to get down to the grain and pick out what my major flaw was. Not flaw, but what was the underlying cause of all my anxiety and depression. And I'm not going to reveal here, but it stems from childhood, and it allowed me to find out what it was that I needed to heal within myself, why I lacked so much self-love, what happened in my childhood that triggered that, and like why I carry that backpack full of insecurities. And that was just like a oh shit moment. Like, oh shit, I never knew that because of that day or that week or that year of my life when I was a kid, this is who I am today at 26, at 27, at 28. So that was really important for me. So that's how long I went, and why I went, and why I think it's important. When we met up, when Huey and I met up at the beach and we spoke about everything, I didn't give him an ultimatum, but I did say one thing. I did ask him if he wanted to give our relationship another try. It would be great if he would try therapy. And he said yes right away. And he said he did ask me that I help him get one. I help him get a therapist, which a lot of people don't know how, and I'll touch on that in my video also. Also, if you want to watch a video right away, follow All Things Ada, ADA, who has an amazing therapy video up on her YouTube right now. Love you, Ada. And she goes through, ways to find a therapist as well. But I helped him, and he went to therapy. Not as long as I did, but yeah.
I think it was a good therapy. I've never been opposed to therapy in my life. I actually always, I had a bunch of friends who went to therapy, and I'm just like, oh man, I wish, I just never, it wasn't something that was within my reach. But we found somebody who would work with me, and I had done a lot of unpacking on my own, going through it and unpacking my own shit, and pointing the fingers at myself and looking in the mirror and having the conversations. So by the time I went to therapy, it was no nonsense. It was like, yo, I want to talk about this specific issue that I have and what could be causing it and why, and I want to this is the type of person that I want to become. Help me. So it was rapid fire, boom, 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 boom. And then, yeah, like Mel said, you just need somebody who, we all have our friends, but our friends are always going to look out for us. We always have our family, but they're going to look out for us. We need somebody who, you can just talk, and they're not gonna be like, oh damn, this person's life is fucked up. They're not gonna judge you. They're not gonna, And then on top of a non-judgmental audience, they also will help you. They'll steer you kind of to find your own answers. They'll never give you the answers. They'll be like, all right, but they'll ask you a question what about this way? What about that way? What did you think about that?
Right.
They
give you the avenues. Here are 3 streets. These are 3 things that you can do. You pick the way that you want to go, right?
And then when you do pick, why did you pick that way?
Right.
It's therapy for me. The end game for me was to be more conscious of my actions, my words, my energy. And I've been falling off a little bit, but
Jose said ASL.
Yo, that's a funny story. I remember being on AOL when I was 13. I was like, yeah, I'm 17 years old. I'm from New York City, blah, blah, all this stuff. And they're like, yo, send pictures. And I'd be like, nah, I don't got no pictures. When I was 13 year old. It's just, it taught me how to question when you're in a situation and something happens and then you're about to immediately react. You stop. Think about the reaction that's natural to you, and then think about where that comes from. Does that come from a place of fear? Does that come from a place of love? Does that come from a place of judgment? Things like that. And then think about it, process it, and then, in that time, 5 seconds, now you got time to answer in a way that's productive to wherever situation you're in. So that was what I needed. That's what I needed for myself. That's what I needed for our relationship. Melanie is probably the most important person in my life, besides my daughter. And besides myself, you know what I mean? So I needed to do this for myself and my past. I needed to do this for my present, and I needed to do this for our future. And just anyone who you come across, I don't ever want to be the person who when you join, I don't want to take away from anyone's life. I want to add to the value of their life. I want to increase the quality of their life. So that was, I went to therapy for a very short time. I went for 4 weeks. I wish I would have went longer.
You can always go back. I'm actually considering getting a therapist now.
Yeah.
Another one, my therapist was in Jersey. This is when I used to live in Jersey. But now that I'm a mom and like I'm going through so many changes, I have so many career goals and my career is shifting. I am unfortunately like still suffering with anxiety.
It's a good time to revisit.
It's definitely a time to revisit it, and I'm definitely considering getting a therapist again. You can go at any time. There's never a right or wrong time. You guys are asking questions. How do you find a therapist that can actually relate to what you may have experienced in life? That's tough. You just have to trust it. You have to have blind trust that these professionals will help you. Reviews help a lot also. Reviews help so much. I got my therapist who was good. She was pretty good. And obviously helped me heal. But read reviews. See what other people have said about these people. See if they've helped them. And you kind of just have to trust that, you know, you're going to get the help that you need. You have to go with an open mind. I know that there's a lot of stigma behind mental health, especially if you are a person of color.
Pro tip: go to a therapist that looks like you.
Yes, there are Black therapists, there are Latino therapists, there are Chinese therapists. There's a therapist for you, I promise you. But you have to take the plunge. You have to do your research. And you can do trial and error. You can see someone and maybe if they don't work out, move on to someone else. There are ways to go to therapy if you can't afford it. At that time, there was a point that I was going to therapy where I was unemployed. And I told her that. And I was like, listen, I need you to like help me out here, put me on a sliding scale, give me a set rate that I can afford. And I used to go to therapy and pay a set fee. Be open. That is your time to be vulnerable. It's not a time to close yourself up and lie. There was a couple times that I found myself, I was like, yo, I really don't want to tell her this. This is very uncomfortable. But you can't lie. Why would you lie? You're wasting your own time and you're wasting your own money. Yeah, like, you're a fool if you're lying. Y'all can't hear me? No. Rap. No. Why can't you hear me? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Check.
No. Wait, now you can?
Check.
Better? Yes. There? Okay, cool. I'm back. We're like on our way to Super Bowl party, and our friends are all in the chat. Everybody's here. Literally a party.
Subscribe below, follow my channel, like, share with a friend.
If we opened a YouTube channel, or if I had a playlist just for our silly ass videos, would you guys watch them? Well, I only asked that because gotta take your baby hands off the mic. My bad. That was Sydney. There's so many families that have channels on YouTube and they're so fucking boring, and to know that they make money off these views, like they have millions of views and they're so boring. Like I feel like I think we're cool. Would y'all watch them? Because I will make them. I know I'm still holding on to the Miami vlog. It's not the most fun video, but it was our first vlog ever, so that'll be up soon. But yeah, I had to ask that. The Melly Huey show. The Mewy show, guys. The Mewy show. Anyways, somebody asked, what, if any, negatives did you encounter from therapy? None. personally, did you encounter any negatives from therapy? Except the money, like you have to be willing to pay because you're investing in yourself.
That's not a bad question.
It's not a bad question. It's an awesome question. But I guess that was a negative for me. I was unemployed, but I was spending money that I didn't have. But I was investing in my sanity. I was investing in my healing. I was investing in my self-love.
You gotta be prepared. You gotta really prepare yourself to be in pain. And it's not, and sometimes, mostly people's the pain that we experience is inflicted upon us by others in our past, unbeknownst to them. But you gotta be prepared to be like, yo, this is the bullshit that you're going through, and guess whose fault it is? All right, like it's your fault. You created this.
Right.
That was what mine was all about.
No one said that accountability is easy. That shit hurts. It fucking hurts. You literally have to point the finger to yourself. You have to look in the mirror and say, you fucked up. But you also have to hold that and take it with you and acknowledge it so that you don't do it again.
But that's not a negative. That's just, It is what it is. You just like, you gotta wear your big boy pants and go face it.
I would say not a negative, but a slight uneasiness is like the first couple of times that you're going, and there are some times where you go and you sit on the couch and you just cry. Like there was times, and Ada pointed this out in her video, that sometimes she would just go there and cry, and sometimes it's necessary. Like you go to work all day, you go home and you don't want to worry your family, and you don't want to worry your boyfriend or your spouse or whatever, your girlfriend. So you just hold it in. And when you finally go to therapy, it's like, the meme where you like unzip your skin and you're like, you get home and you're yourself. That's how I felt at therapy. I would sit on the couch and it would just be like waterworks, because I held on to so much throughout that week or throughout that month when I was going less often, that when I got there it would just be like, and unload, a release.
Also, a big part of therapy to prepare yourself for is the social stigma, which for whatever reason isn't spoken about as often as it should be. People automatically assume that if you are going to therapy, it's because what word is it? What's the proper word? Because I was gonna say nuts.
Yeah, I don't like using that word. Crazy, nuts, mentally ill, tú eres psicópata. Like, personally, I never got backlash like that, thankfully, from my family. I do have family members who suffer from depression who don't treat it. So if anything, I inspired people by going to therapy, and that was a decision that I made on my own. I did have friends that were just like,
yeah,
and they kind of treat you differently, and it is what it is. Like, you don't need to share what you're doing.
Don't get me wrong. Like I'm nuts. I'm out of my mind.
Don't say that.
Huh?
Don't say that.
No. In a positive way, out of control. I went through that, and I don't think I told anyone. I told one of my friends who's a therapist, a practicing therapist, and I told my mom, and like nobody really knew. You know what I mean? Like nobody has to know. That's your personal journey. Like it's something that you're going through, and if you feel compelled to share, like I would share with everyone. For whatever, I did it for whatever reason. But personally, I think everybody should go to therapy. I remember when I was like 11 years old.
Hey, Sabrina.
I was like 11 years old. My mom was like, all right, well, I forgot what it was. And she's like, yeah, so I'm taking you to a therapist. And I'm like, what do you think is wrong with me? And like overreacting and all this
right.
stuff. And
you don't have to have anything wrong with you to go to therapy. You can feel great. You should still go. I guarantee you, if you feel great and you go to therapy, you're going to find something that you need to like work on. And that's the beauty of it. Somebody asked me in my DMs, what was the question? What compromises did we have? We're in low power mode. I wonder. I stopped the recording. Guys, let me know if you can still hear me. Can you hear me? My battery was like dying.
You want to swap over here?
No, I'm good.
Oh, it's low power mode. No, you got.
Can you guys hear me? Okay. order to make our relationship work.
Stop.
Compromises.
Can you do this? Can you take this off?
I was speaking to a friend earlier. I have to sneeze. Shit. About something, and this made me think about this. Funny enough. We definitely, and it's something that we're still working on because we're married and we can't like break up anymore. I don't believe in divorce as an option after you get married. I'm not bashing anybody who does get a divorce, but that's not something that I want to do. Stuff. We definitely had to be sensitive to others' sensitivities. Just for context, I'm a Gemini and he's a Sag. I'm an air sign, he's a fire sign, so when we fight, it's a fucking explosion.
Big bullet thing.
Sorry.
Blood fire.
Sorry, guys. I said we had to learn how to be sensitive to each other's sensitivities. I'm a Gemini, he's a Sag. I'm an air sign, he's a fire sign, so when we fight, it's like a fucking explosion. We had to learn to, like there are things that I do and ways that I act that bother him, and there are things that he does that bothers me. So we have to try.
Big pro tip.
Yeah, we had to watch ourselves, and it's not censoring yourself at all. It's not a censoring of your self. It's just tuning. You're fine tuning. I don't know how to explain it.
But for me, like I remember one time she said something or I said something and she got upset, and I'm like, yo, how can you get upset at it? Like, what are you getting upset about? Like, this is nothing to be upset about. And then I realized that, you know, it could be nothing. It could be like, I could be like, yo, the sky's blue, and she'll be like, you know, whatever, the sky's not blue, I'm pissed, Like, if it's something that matters to her, if it's something that makes her feel any kind of way, then it exists and it's valid. And then anyway, like, it's valid. And if I were to like judge her for the way that she felt, or try to like even try to argue sometimes over the dumb stuff, like I'm invalidating what's very real to her. So that's how I think about it. Like, every time I get into an argument with her, or I'm about to get into an argument with her, I'm like, you know, this is something that means something to you. So I immediately can step into your shoes and see your perspective. Just because, like, let me imagine the person that I am and the sky's not blue. Like, let me just picture that for a second. How would I feel? And that helps me tremendously. Like, you know, just to step into, and it's like generic advice. Like, yo, just like put yourself in their shoes. No, like, seriously, like
That shit is so important.
seriously, like.
And sometimes we forget to do it. We're not perfect. We just had a big ass argument a couple of weeks ago. And we forgot to do that.
What did we argue
about? It was something stupid.
The burp cloth?
It was something so stupid. But the bigger problem was like, oh shit, we forgot to tune in. We forgot to check ourselves, and we ended up wrecking ourselves. Like, put our ego away, and that's so important. It's not the ego that's in the Beyonce song, y'all.
Put that ego.
You want to know what ego means? Google it. Read some Marianne Williamson. It's the ego
that shit is not your friend, bro.
It's the ego that's not your friend. It's the ego.
Not when you're at home. Not when you're at home. When you're at home, you hang it up. You take your jacket off. You take your shoes off, and you leave your ego outside the door waiting for you. One of my colleagues put it to me this way. He's like, the ego is like a big rabid dog. You take it outside with you, and he's your man, he's your champion, and you walk around with him. But when you get home, you park him, you put him away, and then you handle your business. Everything is safe in your home. And you, especially with your partner, you never, like, that dog doesn't have to never come out and see your partner.
Right. The ego makes itself the most important part of everything. The ego.
And that's not that dogs are rabbit.
I'm trying to explain it easily for people who don't understand what
I love
it is.
dogs.
Pay attention.
Shout out my man Bullet.
How do you quickly explain what ego is?
Ego is a defense mechanism.
Yeah, it is self-centered, it's hateful, it's judgy. Yeah. So that's definitely
we're gonna make a video. Let's make a video on that.
the biggest compromise, yeah, I guess we'll make an extended video about all this, but it's definitely the biggest compromise that we've had to make. So I also want to touch on marriage. We are married. Marriage is fucking hard work, and everybody is always like so high about the wedding and like, oh my god, Mrs. soon to be Mrs. so and so and whatever, but then they don't talk about, all right, now we're here, now we live together, now I have this ring, now we have to live with each other every day, and I have to be there for you in everything, in your goods and your bads and your fuck ups and your positive moments, whether you hold yourself accountable or not, and you can't just like walk out.
Yeah, it's just
one of my aunts, shout out Tia Manta, got me when we got married the 5 love languages of love. I forgot what the title is, and it's a great book. It talks about, you know, effective communication, and yes, it's also very generic to talk about communication in marriage, but it is literally the most important thing.
it tells you, basically describes communication styles,
Right.
So it's not just like, it's not like effective communication and like, oh, like this is how I feel, this is why I feel this way,
No.
this is what you can do to make me feel better. Like, it's not that. It's like some people communicate through their actions. Some people communicate, but they, you know, their actions, but they don't speak. Some people communicate strictly through
That's a good question.
You just threw me off, but yeah, different styles, which are very important.
Sorry. Somebody asked, what's the biggest difference between being in a committed relationship and now being married for you guys? I guess for us it's different because
it's a contractual
now
obligation.
we have a yes, you're under contract. You literally cannot just break up with the person. No, I guess for us it's a little bit different too because we have Ava. But I'm gonna share with you guys something that a friend texted me. I don't know if you guys saw the picture that I posted on New Year's Eve, that Ava's on our laps and me and Huey are looking at each other in the eye. And everybody who sees that picture always says the same thing to me. They're like, I love Ava, she looks gorgeous in the picture, but my favorite part of the picture is the way that you guys are looking at each other. And that is so important. It's so important for us as a married couple with a kid to keep our fire alive. And it's not something that we do actively, it's just who we are. We have always been this way. It's very important for us to still be silly and like, he's my best friend, but we also have to like hang out as best friends. Sometimes I say my husband and it's fucking weird because the word husband, the word wife, it has such a serious, this is my husband, like this is my wife. It's such a serious
This is my wife
connotation. So like when we say it to each other, we say it in that way because it's just so funny. Like to me, I'm not gonna say you're not my husband, you're obviously my husband, but like you're my boy, like you are my boo, you are my best friend, and that is so important.
Committed relationships, you know what, and there's some committed relationships that are more serious than some people.
My husband.
There's some committed relationships that are more serious than some people's marriage. Like, you know, it depends. For us, and we can only speak on, you know, on our own experience, but me personally, like our relationship didn't change much from when we were boyfriend and girlfriend to fiance to married. But when we did become married, well, when she said yes to my proposal, I was like, all right, like, I'm the type of person now who I can commit to things for the long term. I'm the type of person now who I can
don't know what time we started recording, but I think we gotta wrap up.
commit to take care of something besides myself for the rest of my life. That's a big commitment. You know, and you don't think, in a boyfriend-girlfriend setting, you don't really think about those kind of things. Like, you think about, yeah, this is the kind of person I want to spend my life with, but like, that's a role that you gotta like take on firsthand, is to take care of this person till they're like 90, 100 years old. Like, you know, what if, God forbid, some shit happens and like I have to, you know, she has to wipe my ass every day. Like, that's something that she signed up for.
Right.
And that's not to say that if it's like if you're a boyfriend or a girlfriend and you're with someone till you guys are 100 years old.
Right, like don't get married for the tax write-offs, and don't get married for like the bullshit.
You know, fiscally it doesn't make sense to be married. But you know, so when I put the ring, when we got married and I put the ring on, and I'm like, that first day, the first day back at work, it was a Monday, and I went out and I just felt different. Like I felt like people, you know, I felt like my word was more bond now. Like, I felt like everything I said was more significant now. I felt like I just felt like a man. Like, I felt like before I was just like a kid. Like, now I feel like a man. Like, I feel like I'm a husband. You know, I'm a soon-to-be father, and I am whatever I am in my career. And this is something that defines me, that strengthens me in who I am. So it just felt different. Like, nothing really changed. You know, we're still kids. We're still like little kids. Like I was telling my mom, we're still kids with responsibilities now, big responsibilities in the backseat, and that's really it. And like the marriage just makes it like it's like how do I describe it? You just feel like, oh shit, like somebody actually wants to spend their life with me. Like, all right, cool. So that makes me that much more valid. Like that's all it is. Really all it is.
You guys are agreeing, and that makes me really happy. Like transitioning from boyfriend to girlfriend to marriage didn't change. There are things that changed. Yeah. Go ahead. He's going inside for a second. There are things that change because we have Ava, and it's definitely difficult to be married with a child, especially when everything for us happened all at once, like, and it kind of was shuffled. We moved in together, then I found out I was pregnant, then we got engaged, and then we got engaged. We went on our honeymoon before we got married. It's just like, it's a funny story. But it's been a very exciting ride. Huey and I will be together 4 years in November, but we still are getting to know each other. We are still getting to know each other every day. There's things that he does every day that amazes me. And that's not even to be like sappy and like be cute. I'm dead ass serious. That there are things that he does that bothers me, and there are things that he does that I love. There are ways that he makes me feel that are new, and also there are ways that he makes me feel that have always been there, and that's the most amazing part about being married and like living with your partner. Yeah. Do you guys have any questions? I know this is probably gonna time me out soon. I don't even know if these things have time limits anymore. I suppose they do. I'm gonna try to save this videos and upload it on YouTube as a vlog style conversation about our story, so that it lives there forever. We have an archive of this convo. Thank you guys for joining. I know it's Super Bowl Sunday and a lot of people are like eating wings and shit right now. We're on our way to our friend's house to join the Super Bowl party. But yeah, I thought it was a good time to touch on this because we went out last night. Also, another thing that I wanted to touch on, and he's coming back in the car right now. What the hell is he bringing with him? You just bring a full ass cup. You have a full ass cup? Yo. One of the things I hate about him is that he has an obsession with mason jars. He just stole this from his mother's house.
First of all, the only reason that's there is because I put it there.
I'm gonna drink some.
Melanie makes this fire ass pesto salad, and this brand of pesto that we use, they provide these jars, and I love them. And it's like, yo, I don't like, you're not supposed to, drink too much juice, so I like them for juice.
Yes, Jennifer.
It's a small ass jar, so you can say, all right, I'm only gonna drink this much juice.
It's Paul. Okay, poor connection. We're back. You get into a routine and you do the same thing every single day. And you take care of the baby, and you take care of yourselves, and you make dinner, and you make breakfast, and you say good morning, you say good night. We make it a point, and our parents have graciously helped us out by taking the baby once a month, and we just like go, oh my god, there's 45 seconds left. Anyways, we just go and like be kids. There's 45 seconds, like 40 seconds left. No!